So finally, Mafia 3 is here. The hotly and highly anticipated game has recently been released, and I'm reviewing it on the PlayStation 4. I do understand that other people are having some issues with it on the PC and on Xbox One, I believe, in regards to crashes, but I'll start right off the bat and say that I've put in a good amount of hours now and I've not had one crash yet on my PlayStation 4, so on that front, no issues at all. So, Mafia 3 then. This has been highly anticipated now for quite some time. I remember seeing the first trailers for this and being quite excited because it looked something new. The setting looked amazing, the story looked really interesting, and the prospect of giving us a fully functional open world, which is something that was missed terribly, if you like, in the previous games, was something to get us all really excited about. So it's quite an interesting game, this Mafia 3. I mean, I suspect that Grand Theft Auto 5 junkies won't like this game at all, really. Whereas you could argue this game almost takes itself too seriously, but when you analyse the story involved here and the setting and all the messages it tries to get across, really, I don't really see how they could have made light of any of this situation at all. Whereas Grand Theft Auto makes fun of crime and criminals and the modern society as a whole. This game tries something new in the sense that it tries to give a realistic snapshot of what it must have been like living in these times, especially as being a coloured man in the 60s. So I think 2K and Hangar 13, I believe it is, deserve an awful lot of credit for delivering what is a very grown-up story that is superbly portrayed through the cutscenes and the character animations and the character actors, the actors that are doing the voices. It's amongst the highest quality that I've seen for a long time, and it really draws you in and you're really interested in the story. And I think they should be absolutely commended for that. Because it's outstanding what they've done. But that being said, at the end of the day, it's a game. So is the gameplay good? Is there some elements in the game that you can have fun with? Yeah, of course there is. It's a game at the end of the day. So whereas the story is very, very serious, yes, you can still run around and whack people and trip them up and steal cars and do lots of things like that, have battles with the police and all that kind of stuff. If you want to waste your time and do silly things like that, yeah, there's ample opportunities for you to do that within the game. But you don't really want to do it, if I'm honest. One of the first things you do when you get the Grand Theft Auto is, right, let's see how long I can last against the police, or how long I can last against these gangs. Whereas you don't really want to do that in this game. You just kind of want to get on with it. And I think what they've done really, really well here is all the story missions and all the side missions, all the side activities, they're all geared towards your end game, your end goal, which is taking over the city. You never feel as though you're wasting your time with any mission, with anything that you're doing. You definitely feel that it's making you more of a badass and making you more powerful, making your family more powerful. So there's no silly activities like tennis or golf or anything like that. And to be honest, I'm glad of that, because I don't want that in this game. There is loads of stuff to do, but it is more around, like I say, developing your strength as a crime boss, and getting your revenge on those who took so much from you at the beginning of the game. There are some negatives with the game. There are definitely some graphical issues. I would say mainly around the lighting. It's just a bit odd sometimes. Sometimes it's amazing, you know, when the sun's going down or just coming up in the morning or something along them lines. It looks amazing, and then other times it's really dull and plastic-like, and it almost feels the game appear like, and the toys, like everyone's a toy in the game, and all the cars are toys. It's hard to describe really, but there is definitely some graphical issues there. There's some draw distance issues, but nothing that takes you out of the game massively. But there are some draw distance issues. But for me, like I say, I've had no crashes, and I come from an era almost like where with the PlayStation 1s and PlayStation 2s, where you got the game and you had to like it or lump it. If it was buggy and it didn't work very well, that's it. You had to deal with it and live with it. These days, it gets on my nerves a little bit. It's almost like every AAA title that comes out now, the rage monsters on the net just absolutely tear them to pieces because of some minor issues or graphical glitches, and everyone's screaming, "Oh, this is a full price game, it shouldn't be happening." But they're all fixed with patches, and it doesn't really bother me that much, you know. Like I say, because I remember when games, you pay full price for a game and you got what you got. If it was crap and glitchy, you had to deal with it. And 9 times out of 10 there was no internet to rage on about it. So I think people need to calm down a little bit with some of these titles that are coming out. You know, if a game is fundamentally broken, go to town on it. But this game, there's no one out there could describe this game as fundamentally broken, because it's absolutely not. There are some niggles, there are some graphical issues, but a patch or two, a few weeks down the line, and they're gone. There's no issues. So chill out about it is what I say really in regards to that. When I first got the game, turned it on and started it, the intro is so long. I mean, it literally, it takes several hours before you get anything close to an open world, and that can niggle a little bit. As good as the storytelling is, and it does keep you interested and intrigued, but I think the intro, you could describe it a bit too long, because I was worried initially, because I thought it was, is this it? Is it limiting me to this? And as it turned out, you know, many hours later, it was like 4.5 hours later, something like that, you were kind of let loose into the open world, and it was only really when you unlocked all 3 crime bosses where the game really opened up to you. And like I say, if you're quite impatient and you want to get straight into the open world immediately, again, you're going to be disappointed, because it does take some time. But the good thing about it is that you do get to know a lot about the characters in that period, so you do get to care about Lincoln, and what happens to him, the reasons why he does want to take down the crime bosses in New Bordeaux. The setting in the 60s is just, it's brilliant. It oozes class really. It's one of my favourite games is LA Noire, and I love the setting in that game too. It was just absolutely class, and this reminds me a little bit of LA Noire. It's just something a little bit different. There's nothing really out there like that, like this game, in regards to its setting. So I think the setting is very unique, and I think the developers should be applauded for that, for making it feel and look different to most other open world games on the market today. And I think that's what I like most about this game, the fact that it does offer something different. I think so many people now are so used to open world games just doing a certain thing, like the Saints Row games and the GTA games, and this does something different. It's more grown up, and I really like that about this game. The fact that it does have a mature theme, and the setting and the story is all a bit more grown up, and I do like the fact it takes itself more serious. For me, it makes it more enjoyable. Now, like I say, for those out there who are the GTA players, they probably find it a bit limiting, this game, because, you know, they can't just go off and skydive somewhere, or, you know, play tennis or golf or whatever it is they want to do. But I think everything else within the game is it's there for a purpose, and it's all enjoyable. I've also seen comments in regards to some people saying it's a bit repetitive, the missions and the mission structures. Well, I suppose if that's the kind of person that you are, you may find some of it repetitive. I haven't really. I think it's quite widely varied. So I think for me, this game is a buy. There are issues with it, of course there is, but nothing that detracts majorly from the enjoyment of the game. So I recommend you give it a go.